All right, welcome to this final chapter as we move around the cosmic clock. Now, this is the winter solstice, the wisdom of winter. And what's fascinating about this moment in time and our ability to claim these astrological thought forms in this philosophical system is we can claim the archetype of Saturn. And Saturn it is the practical boundaries that allows our water body to flow effectively in any direction. But it's also all the structure, discipline, and responsibilities that if we don't confront, will confront us. So when we think of Saturn, imagine if you find it in your birth chart, if you're interested in the astrological birth chart, this is that place where discipline will confront you if you don't confront that responsibility in that house. And so when we brush our teeth, when we get our dishes done, so we have an empty sink in the morning, when we clean our clothes, so we have folded nice clothes in the morning, those are all moments where we're in relationship directly with Saturn. And when we don't meet it there, it gives us the consequence. It will take our teeth away. It will fill our sink and make it impossible to clean more dishes. We'll begin to smell if we don't confront this. But it also works in every other part of our life. And I know I used to make organic bar soap at the Vermont Soap Company, and I have a friend, and we would ask each other, did you deal with Saturn? Did you confront Saturn? Which is applying for other jobs, getting your chores done, paying your bills. This is the responsibility and the boundaries that will allow you to thrive. Because Saturn, though maybe rigid and potentially cold, is honest. And it sees, the true structure of things. So as the moon is the fastest moving object with its 28-day cycle, Saturn, which is the furthest object we can see, and before we discovered Neptune and Uranus, it was the keeper of time because it was the furthest thing with the longest cycle. So we moved from a 28-day cycle to like a 28, 29-year cycle. And this thing is holding all other things. It's supporting the structures which allow everything to happen below it. So when we look up, we can find the winter solstice at the top of the clock. We can also find that at noontime. Remember, sunrise, noon, sunset, midnight? So Saturn is looking over everything. And I feel like this is one of the most powerful archetypes because for those of us invested in astrology, it's very, I think, natural for us to go inwards into the inner waters. And there can be some very productive invention from that place. But unless the boundaries are there, unless we get our feet on the ground and claim the boundaries and the borders around us, everything will fall apart. So Saturn is the keeper of time. It sits there, Chronos, and it sits there above all other things. So this archetype, I know even just for making any of my posters, working for this family business, working with clients doing graphic design, is that confronting those responsibilities allows everything else to happen. If you don't get paid, you really can't do much. To function in society, you're always in relationship with Saturn. So claiming that archetype, what's useful for me is to imagine standing right in front of this thing. I mean, it could be a yellow dot for you, an orange dot. It could be an actual person. It could be, however this archetype is represented by you, it represents discipline and responsibility. And if you meet it there, it will never fail you. You will always get the good feeling from getting your dishes done, from applying for that job, for getting that project done. But set it as an intention to meet it before it meets you. And that is the power of the winter solstice, of the wisdom of that moment, of high noon, and of the archetype of Saturn and the 10th house. So now we've moved from the axis of self to other, and the axis of the solstice from the inner dwelling and fantasy to the discipline and structure of Saturn. And those become the active 4 elements in relation to each other that we can claim at any moment throughout our day to get anything done. And I believe that sits really on the fundamental layer of astrologic philosophy. So, thank you. Those are our 4 points. Now, in our next chapter, we'll try to make it practical. How do we make this information practical? Okay, I'll see you there.